first, right?
Yes. Are you having everybody stand
Oh, yes.
first? Okay, because I think there was the
Because I asked, yeah, because I asked you this. All right, please stand. Hear ye, hear ye. Give ear until the proceeding of the High Court of National Honor Society for Secondary Schools, presided over by the Maplewood Richmond Heights Chapter, The Torch. Anna Munn Carstensen, Eli Chase, Catherine Chavez, Jack Clark, Elliot Dillon, Ethan Floyd, Melissa Gantz, Jonah Grawer, Elizabeth Hannaran, Aiden Holzer, Meg Hofer, Gregory Jacobs, Leo Javier, Sam Kiefer, Alan Lowry, Maya Mueller, Adeline Nevins, Miles Paul, Annabelle Rayburn, Stella Reed, Alexandra Seamer, Kyle Smith, Danielle Stewart, Sadie Tanner, Baron Trumper, and Caitlin Vasey have been summoned to the High Court of the National Honor Society. You may be seated.
We are assembled to do the honor of those students who, in judgment of the faculty of the Maplewood Richmond Heights High School, stand high in scholarship, leadership, character, and service. These qualities have been selected as worthy of recognition because they are the characteristics of who, in whatever field of life they may labor, have contributed most to the welfare and progress of humanity. It is altogether fitting that schools should recognize first scholarship.
Scholarship means the world's search for truth, that truth which shall bring enlightenment to the world and drive forth ignorance, superstition, and prejudice. The blue candle represents the importance of scholarship to humankind. The book of Proverbs says knowledge is a treasure, but practice is the key to it. Scholarship alone makes but a poor person if that one possesses not the qualities of leadership to inspire others with the desire for truth.
The crimson candle is a symbol of leadership. Leadership is the ability to stimulate others to the highest expression of themselves. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, and do more, and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. Scholarship and leadership are wasted if a noble character is not the foundation on which they are erected.
Be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are. John Wooden. The gold candle symbolizes that high of character which is ever noble. Character enables us to pass through the tests and trials of life. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller.
What good is individual excellence that is not used for the good of all through service? The great Russian author Leo Tolstoy said the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. The Indian social activist and leader of the national movement, Mahatma Gandhi, said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. The green candle honors the one who serves, and having served, may we find our whole satisfaction in knowing that the reward of a thing well done is to have done it. Martin Luther King Jr. said that anyone can be great because anyone can serve. Now 4 torches have been lit, exemplifying the 4 qualities which make a well-rounded life.
The balanced individual has an impulse to seek out the truth, the courage to face life bravely, and the desire to share experience with those who are less fortunate. As Dr. Seuss said in his book, "Oh, the Places You'll Go," so be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act, and you will succeed. Yes, you will indeed. 98 3/4% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains.
The emblem of the society is the keystone and the flaming torch. The keystone bears at its base the letters S, L, C, and S, which stands for our 4 principles of its organization: scholarship, leadership, character, and service. As the keystone is placed by the builder to hold the perfect arch in perpetual stability, so the structure of our education must be held firm and true to the purpose of life by the virtues represented in this symbol. Scholarship is the power of the mind to dispel ignorance and superstition through scientific investigation of the truth. Leadership is the power of personality that blazes the trail for humanity's upward climb. Character, the composite of all common virtues, sets the seal of righteousness upon our every endeavor, while service is at the beginning and end of our education, the altar of altruism from which the blessing of humanity has been bestowed. Thus, the keystone symbolizes the high ideas of our society. The flaming torch is the emblem of our purpose: to bear forward the searching light of truth, to lead that others may follow in the light, to keep burning in our school a high ambition for enduring value of life, and to serve. These purposes are symbolized in the torch.
Newly chosen members of the Maplewood Richmond Heights chapter of the National Honor Society, you are to be invested with the symbol of your membership to receive the highest distinction that the school can confer. Candidates of the Maplewood Richmond Heights chapter, you have been chosen by the faculty for your scholarship, leadership, character, and service. Your obligations as members of this society are to uphold the honor of your school, your city, your state, and your country, to exalt that which is true and right, to oppose that which is false and dishonorable, and to hold aloft the flaming torch of aspiration which lights the way to higher things. We will now hear some comments from our principal, Dr. Kevin Grawer.
Greetings, NHS inductees, Dr. Welker, Dr. Nims, current NHS members and new ones. Welcome and congrats to you new inductees. What an awesome honor to be in this elite group. Each year I'm asked to say a few words at the induction ceremony. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. Because of the pandemic, we're not going to have a large group gathering, so I'm recording it this year, and I hope the message resonates with somebody. And the point of it is twofold. Number one, offering help, and number two is seeking help. I want to talk about those two things. So I'm going to start by saying, let me tell you about my next door neighbor's lawn. My neighbor is a delightful lady named Angie. She has 5 daughters. They're all college age now, and they're great people. But she would let her grass get really high in the summer, sometimes 8 to 12 inches high, and I would go there and ask her if I could cut her grass. Of course, I love cutting grass. I put on a podcast, a music playlist, and I escape the world. I don't mind sweating, getting dirty. I enjoy it. I wanted to do it, and I let her know. My neighbor Angie would never let me cut her lawn. Instead, she'd wait 2 to 3 weeks. No, Kevin, I'm fine. Have somebody else do it. She was having it cut every 3 to 5 weeks, whereas I cut mine every 5 to 7 days next door. Her grass was 12, 14 inches high, while mine looked nice and tight. Anyway, whenever she did get her lawn cut by somebody else, of course, immediately after, I'd offer her a compliment about how great it looked. And it did look great. My compliments were twofold, though. They were timely. They happened within a time that it was actually cut. It didn't wait 2 days. I did it right after. And they were specific. Timely and specific compliments people appreciate more. Wow, the edges of your stairway make your house look like a museum, Angie. This is wonderful. Then the next time after my compliments, I would notice the period in which she cut her grass was getting shorter and shorter. 4 weeks became 3, became 2, became 1, to the point where she was getting her grass cut every week like I was. The more compliments I added, the sooner the grass seemed to be cut. Well, I tell this story for 2 key learning points. Number 1, compliments and praise, strategically placed, tend to improve that which was complimented upon, whether it relates to cutting grass like I did, or something else, a student's behavior, a relationship, how someone dresses even. If you start complimenting that, they might start dressing better. There often is a dip, and that during the dip, people stop complimenting and say, well, it's not working. I'll try something else. No, stick with it, because after the dip comes the rise. You have to stick with it. Number 2, when people offer us help for something practical that we know we could use help with, we should be open to accepting it. In fact, I'll go as far as saying we should seek out that help and even request it, and that takes courage. I had a student years ago here at MRH High who was floundering. He was a great athlete, not very interested in school. He'd get D's and F's, he'd sleep in class, disrupt, and then be sent to my office. He was a challenge, but I knew from talking to him he could do better academically, and deep down he knew it too. Then his senior year, second semester, something kicked in and he earned a 3.5 GPA. He was never sent to the office, and I took notice, and I asked him, "Man, what's going on? You're killing it, and I want to know what happened to make the change so I can help others who are in the same situation." Grawer, he said, "I just finally started asking for help and accepting it. It was that simple." He didn't need much. And he said this, "You know what? People gave me the help and they never stopped. Teachers I thought would give me a hard time here if I asked for help. But they didn't. They helped me. And more importantly, I was open to accepting it. And that changed everything. I just had to swallow some pride and say, I need help. Once I did that, my life got better." All he did was muster up the courage and ask for help, and was allow himself to accept it. Now, National Honor Society members, when someone asks you for help, how do you respond? I would bet most of you jump into action and you want to help, you want to make an impact. We all like being the helper, but we're not great at being the helpee, the person receiving the help. It takes courage to do both. And I'm not talking about the person who does not prepare at all beforehand, then expects you to do all the work for them. That's different. Like when you say to a student, "What's wrong with this? I don't know how to do it." "Well, have you tried to do it?" "Well, no." That's just being lazy. That's different. I'm referring to someone who sincerely self-analyzes, realizes he or she could use some help, and they've tried something, but it hasn't worked out, and they don't know where to go. Mr. Castle, English 2 teacher, ACT prep teacher. He helps me every semester. I teach a graduate class at Webster University for the last 5 years. It's about teaching methods and how to be a better teacher in a classroom setting. One of the topics I'm supposed to teach is designing a unit of study. This is how teachers design 4 to 10 week lesson themes built around a daily or larger idea. I know Mr. Castle is better at this than I am. I tried to teach the unit topic myself my first year as a teacher in this course. I didn't like how it went. So I went to Mr. Castle and I asked him for advice. As he was teaching me how to teach unit design, I realized, you know what? Maybe he should just teach it to my students. Plus, I can watch him and learn while he's doing that. So for the last 4 years, Mike Castle's taught a section of my Webster University graduate class of future teachers how to write and design better units of study, and I've learned from him. By me asking for help, everyone who's taken my class for the last 4 years has benefited, as have I. And I think Mr. Castle secretly enjoys doing it. The point of all this, again, is twofold. Number one, if you give help, give it away freely, with no expectation of favors in return. John Wooden states, you can't have a great day without helping someone else and expecting nothing else in return. Secondly, have the courage to ask for help when you need it, but be sure you make an earnest attempt at it first. Helpers want to see you try to help yourself as well before they jump in. NHS members, if you retain one thing from this ceremony, it's this: offer your help freely the rest of your life and humbly, and seek it out freely and humbly as well. Remember, nobody does anything alone. Congratulations on being elected to this prestigious organization. Now back to Dr. Mims and Dr. Welker. Thank you.
Candidates, would you please stand and pick up your candles? Representing the present members of the National Honor Society, we place in your hand two priceless gifts. Our first gift has little value in itself. It is but the body of a torch. It gives forth no light, and yet without it, you can have no light.
Yes.
You're just going to listen first. From the central flame, which symbolizes the spirit of National Honor Society, we light this torch. And from this torch, we give to you, and through you, to the future members of the Maplewood Richmond Heights chapter, the supreme gift, light. You may light your candles. With this flame, we have touched your dead torch and made it a living thing. As we give to you, so do you pass that light to the newly elected members of the Maplewood Richmond Heights chapter. Candidates, hear the pledge of loyalty to this organization. I accept the challenge of the lighted torch. I pledge myself to uphold the high purposes of this society, to which I have been elected, striving in every way, by word and deed, to make its ideals the ideals of my school. Will you repeat after me? I accept the challenge, of the lighted torch. I pledge myself to uphold, the high purposes of this society, to which I have been elected, striving in every way, by word and deed, to make its ideals the ideals of my school.
You have received the lighted torch, the symbol of aspiration, the symbol of loyalty binding you to the faithful fulfillment of your obligations. We, the active members of the Torch chapter of National Honor Society, share our torch with you, the new members of the chapter, with the command that you treasure it and keep its light burning brightly in your school as long as it is in your possession.
Candidates, you may turn off your candles and approach the table, and please sign your names in the National Honor Society book as a token of the promise you have just made. In addition, please pick up your certificate and pin. Let the keystone be dissolved, and as we go forth, may we ever remember to keep our flames burning so that we may light the way for others who are to follow.
Ladies and you can sit. Have a seat. There's a lot of people looking at me like, how long am I going to have to stand here? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the newest members of the Torch chapter of the National Honor Society. Round of applause. If you'll indulge me just for a second here, before we go, I'd like to take a moment and recognize Dr. Nims, and what if some of you know, Dr. Nims is leaving us after 15 years, 16 years? 15, 16, something. We won't get into it too much. Both of us had a lot, well,
Many years.
Many years. And I want to take a moment to recognize him for the selfless service to the MRH family and to this National Honor Society that him and I have been doing for, I think we figured out the past 10 years. And during that time, we've supervised about 18 blood drives. Nobody died that we know of. 10 or so induction ceremonies. We're not really sure about that number either. My favorite is when we near freeze to death in front of the Maplewood Mall Mart, ringing the bells for the Salvation Army with the students. Oftentimes, I'd be on one end and he'd be on the other end, and it would just be him and I out there ringing bells and go, we're not really, aren't we supposed to have help? So, as well as many other service events that we've done over the years, Dr. Nims embodies everything that's good about teaching and education. He's smart, he's innovative, he's courageous, he's reflective, kind, caring, and compassionate. He's one of the best educators that I've had the privilege to work with. And more importantly, he's one of the best people that I know. I've been blessed to call him a colleague, a confidant, a therapist, and most importantly, a friend. And I'm going to miss you. And we're all going to miss you a great deal. Oh boy, I'm getting choked up. Imagine me getting choked up. Godspeed, my friend. We're going to miss you. So Mr. Schultians is going to take some pictures and ask you some questions. So hang around, don't leave. We promised your parents that we would get pictures and stuff like that for you. And he's going to do a little video, right, Mr. Schultians? And trust me, you're going to want it. So hang around. If you want, come up and look at the book. Come look at the book. I want you to flip back to the 30s because you guys signed a book that's been around since the 1930s. It's a big deal to get into that book. It sits in the safe in the office that we sometimes can get open. It's probably the safest safe in the world because we can barely open it. But come up and take a look. And if you want to start, form a line and see Mr. Schultians. Thanks, guys. Congratulations again.